just going for it, so you'll have to forgive our intertwining. So yeah, it was basically like, oh, you have to be kidding me. This is so very cheesy. And not to mention the point that MJ is all friendly with Harry, and you think, the MJ and Pete I know from the comics and from the animated series to an extent, they would have spoken about this. MJ would have known the history between Pete and Harry. She would have known about the Goblin. Having the Goblin dangle her off the bridge and drop her to die in the first film. She would have spoken about that, especially with Pete gearing up to marry her. That would have been fantastic.
That's the thing we skipped.
We skipped the Aunt May. Okay, Rosemary Harris, we love you.
Yeah, we do. We have no qualms.
We have no qualms.
Absolutely.
I got a bit too when you were doing your speech, and you remembered Uncle Ben and
the swim to the eye.
Yeah, it was. There was a tear to the eye. So Aunt May, we have no problem with whatsoever. So anyway. Then we go, oh yes, and all this time Pete is acting extremely obnoxious and self-assured. And
he takes off his mask in full view of an entire
No, we're going to get to that. I'm going back to the bit where Stan Lee turns up.
Enough said.
Yeah. So Stan Lee turns up, and basically they're showing Spider-Man on the screen, and he's jumping around, and these kids are like, wow, cool, Spider-Man! And you can appreciate that, because, well, I was a kid, and I thought Spider-Man's cool. I got a 5-year-old brother, he thinks Spider-Man's cool, everyone thinks Spider-Man's cool, really, and if you don't, you suck.
Yep.
And you probably, I don't even know why you're watching this.
No, I have very little
idea. No, you don't suck. Thank
you
for watching. We love you, really.
We love you a lot, thank you, we love our audience.
Yes. So, yeah, well, oh yes, so he's watching, and you're thinking, until he actually gets the symbiote on him, he's not that obnoxious, he's not that big-headed, he's still Peter Parker from the first 2 films.
I mean, even when things are going well for Peter Parker, he doesn't sort of rest on his laurels in any sense, he still beats himself up a lot.
Exactly.
I mean, the guy just has almost crippling sort of emotional guilt. He thinks, right, yes, some of the city may love me, but I still let my uncle die.
But exactly, I mean, he is driven by guilt, almost as much as Batman, and then when you get into the comics and Captain Stacy dies, and then Gwen Stacy dies, pile the guilt on. I mean, If you want to see the ramification of Gwen Stacy's death, read Spider-Man Blue by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Loeb.
Because it's one of my favourite Spider-Man titles
really
ever. It's fantastic.
I did, yes.
I love that. I got a hardback edition from this man. So yeah, and right. So yes. Anyway, so then we get to Gwen, and we're just launched into Gwen. In fact, if sort of like
there wasn't even any foreshadowing in 2. At least with 2 you had foreshadowing of Kurt Connors or whatever.
Yeah, and he was dramatically underused in an exposition piece.
He was Captain Exposition of the Starship Plot Explanation. I was so proud. I'd sail under that man's exposition dialogue any day.
So yeah, there's Gwen, and she just happens to be in a building where a crane's going mad, and she's being
a model.
She's being a model.
I don't think that Gwen Stacy is the model type.
She was in the early comics.
Really? Was she?
Yeah.
Was she? Oh wow, I didn't know.
No, she was.
I thought they got it wrong. Huh?
No, she was a model, but it was a brief stint. It was like a little stint, so kind of launching her into this. And to be honest, how boring was that backdrop? I mean, they're trying to make it sexy, and she was just wearing normal. No.
I didn't feel it.
When MJ was modelling, you kind of felt that, but
she's
not here. So anyway, she's modelling, and if the guy hadn't said Gwen, you'd be like, well, who is this woman? Not us, because we've been following this film since conception. But that was a bit.
Yes.
We skipped another bit. Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Captain Stacy.
Nice. Good casting choice.
Good casting.
James Cromwell.
Again, dramatically underused, considering it's James Cromwell.
I mean, for God's sake, if you're going to hire James Cromwell, at least make him do something pointful.
Exactly. Watch a Harrison Ford film. You know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So he's like, this is the man who killed your uncle. Flashback number 1, because there are many. There are shed loads throughout this film. Flashback number 1. And Pete gets all rah, which is fine.
That's okay. I do that actually.
Which is fine. So and then we're following Marco Flint, he goes on to a military installment where they're doing high radiation testing.
Military? I thought it was just a random lab. Is it military?
I thought it was military in the same form of Oscorp was military.
Oh, okay,
in Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, military.
That was my opinion of it. So anyway, he climbs this flimsy fence and manages to get over the barbed wire and...
What a guy. And he kicks a dog!
Yes.
What a guy!
Well, fair enough. To be honest,
I'd kick that dog.
I'd kick the dog.
Yeah.
But it's all because of his daughter.
Ah, bless.
Now-
Number 1 on the underused minor plots and character arcs, Sandman.
Yeah.
What
So,
a guy.
this is what I'm trying to figure out, right? In the film, Sandman has a daughter. She serves pretty much no purpose, and we'll get onto that purpose in a bit. And yeah, why is she there? Why did they add her? In Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock was not a crazed lunatic with lots of mummy issues. Read Doc Ock Year 1 to see what I mean. You know, he had a wife, it was loving, and it all went horribly wrong. But it serves the story.
And it's believable. As a character arc, it works, and it's enough time is spent on it that you feel for what he's doing. With Sandman, you're just like, I'm a guy, a good guy who's had bad luck.
Oh, please. Cringe line number 357 of that film.
Cringe line 356, Mary Jane Lang.
Oh, we'll get onto the Mary Jane Langness. Because, you know, when they came in with the "this review stinks," I so want to get that clip and then just stick it on the front of it. I wanted to stick it on the front of this. We can't get it because we don't believe in pirating.
No.
We don't. We're against that. But
Very much.
to be honest, when they said that, I was already at a point of the film going, are you going to kind of kick up a notch? And, yeah, that pretty much sums it all, that scene, that whole "this review stinks." Yeah, and then Peter's like, you know, he's had bad reviews of Spider-Man 3. I mean, you need to read the Daily Bugle, say, every day to find out what J. Jonah Jameson thinks of Spider-Man.
His editorial column is a fancy read.
Exactly. So she comes saying, "Oh, this review stinks," and he says, "As Spider-Man," and she's like, "No, it's not about you, it's about me." Whoa!
Turn, pout, back off. Secrets and lies, Mary Jane Lang. Secrets and lies.
If
Neil
you-
Bailey, shout out.
Exactly, Neil Bailey. If you watch Smallville, you'll know Lana Lang. And if you go on the Superman homepage, there is an excellent reviewer who is also a friend of ours called Mr. Neil Bailey. We'll see you at Comic-Con, sir.
We will.
You know, and he says about Lana Lang, and it was. Mary Jane was Lana Lang. The same way Lois Lane in Superman Returns wasn't Lois Lane, but again, Lana Lang. If this is what the new woman is, then I'm going to slap them all. My word. So anyway, she goes off and pouts and...
Turns around and makes pasta. No, an omelette. An omelette with her.
Oh, yeah, but that's a bit later.
A bit later. But anyway, she goes off in a huff because Peter's all self-absorbed. Again, which is odd because he's not.
He shouldn't be.
No.
Anyway, he shouldn't be. So yeah, Sandman. Sandman's birth was actually quite cool, despite the sort of like, why the hell have you all of a sudden run here in the middle of nowhere and done this and fallen in this sandpit?
Fallen in a huge sandpit, which the police, don't feel like searching or blowing up or checking.
Or didn't kind of say to the institution, "There's a convict running around. Can you give us a hand?" Nothing like that. It was a bit like weak writing. Yeah, which is a point. The starting monologue had me worried as well. Peter's starting thing. It was like.
Things are going pretty well for me. I'm a hero. That's right. A hero.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We haven't even got to his ending monologue.
Oh. Alan Sargent, seriously, dude. But, so yeah, Sandman's creation. That was good. That was another bit I liked. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
but the whole creation where he was getting up and he could hardly stand and then again the locket at the door.
And he tried to grab his
and that was cool. You were like, that was kind of some motive for the daughter.
Yeah, that actually humanised him. And that was the only bit where they even did it.
And you were like, okay, that's cool, right? Sandman. Excellent. So anyway, Spider-Man has, in quite a cool scene, I'll admit that's another bit I liked, saved Gwen Stacy.
Hooray!
Because in the trailer, when I saw Gwen Stacy falling, I was like, oh my god, she's going to die.
And that would have been excellent, actually. Oh, that would have been fun.
But he needs to fall in love with her to
make the emotional impact.
Exactly. To be honest, I don't think they should have added Gwen Stacy at all.
No, because
I think the other woman should have been Betty Brant. Because she is a ridiculously underused
Absolutely.
character.
Elizabeth Banks. She's brilliant.
So you keep talking, we get a drink quickly.
So he saves Gwen Stacy from this falling crane. Incidentally, if you're in New York, never go near a crane. So he saved her, and the city decides.
Especially put one atop of a very tall building.
They're clever like that. So the city decides to honour Spider-Man and give him a huge ceremony. So naturally, Peter Parker, the new self-absorbed Mark 2.5, thinks this is great, and
Okay.
he just